Hello Hambini fans, and welcome to another episode of Hambini Reams. In today's episode, another set of wheels. Now these are a bit of a special set of wheels. These came from a company called 9Velo, and they are based in wheel capital of the world, Xiamen. So let's review them. This is the front wheel, and that is 680 grams, 682. This is the back wheel. That is 803. So you've got a total weight there of around about 1400 and something. So let's do the widths. So the outside of that wheel is 30.88. It's actually a bit narrower there. It's maybe 30 just there. And then the inside, 21.3. So we've got a carbon rim, which is, well, I think it's 56 mil, but it's marketed as 55. It is quite sharp on the trailing edge. Very similar to some of the other Chinese brands out there. Then we've got the nipple, which is here. I'm going to zoom in right now. That's fairly shallow, so quite a few of the wheels now have started to have, only 3 millimeters or so on show. It improves the aerodynamics quite a lot for not much in the way of a loss. Bladed spokes. Now these bladed spokes are really quite fat. So 4 mil bladed spokes. The thickness, which you can't see on screen, maybe 1.3. Carbon, I think they're taper lock design, so they shouldn't come undone like the KPS wheels or the Ascent wheels. And then we come on to the hub. This is a disc-based hub, so usual standard Shimano affair. There's a couple of interesting features on here. I think the most obvious one is got reliefs put into the splines. Now it makes it much easier to get off, because I've been hammering these wheels. I've had to put them in the part washer to get them really clean. But whatever this is coated with is really hard. So I think this is hard anodized, just opposed to decorative anodization is extremely hard. Behind that, we've got, and I think they may be ceramic bearings in there. I'll explain why a little bit later. I think they're 15267. Can't quite see. We'll describe that a bit later on in the PowerPoint. Now, over on this side, this is the first time I've seen this type of assembly on a non-DT hub. I think mainly because their patents run out. So we've got the free hub, which is 11 speed. Again, this has been hard anodized. Behind that is a teeth or lateral tooth engagement. It's not your standard ratchet and pawl assembly in there. Now when you spin it, it does make a slightly different noise. It's quite a quiet noise, you can hardly hear it. When you're riding along, it's much quieter than a normal ratchet. This is the front hub, so I think they are 6802 bearings in there. Double seal, so double labyrinth type seal. They've pretty much gone to town on that. No real issues with that, it hasn't failed at all. The only real problem I had with these wheels, and this is actually the front one, is when I was trying to get the tyre lever in, my park tyre lever went and gouged in there, so I ended up having to put a little bit of epoxy and then filled that in. One really quite nice feature that I like on these wheels is they've put a flap, so it's kind of spot-faced, the valve hole, so when you get it and then screw it down, it really doesn't vibrate at all. If you get carbon wheels of this type, what you need to check is that the spokes are all in line. If there's any twist in them, they're liable to fracture. There's no issues at all on these wheels. I mean, they are coming on a YouTube channel, so you'd expect them to check them, but nonetheless, there's no issues with that. Disc brake wheel will generally have some method of transferring the load from the hub outwards. Now in the case of this front wheel, it's double spoked on the non-drive side, so that's where the transmission goes. If you have a rim brake wheel, you won't really have to worry about that. Oh fuck! Fuck, that was the wrong bit! No, we've got to the presentation bit now. Right, 9 Velo, CD55, Nerf Velo. It's a good job Lego Man Head doesn't work at Crap Velo anymore, because he would sue for name impingement or infringement or whatever it's called. By Hambini, age 5. Let's check the pen is working. Any guesses on who Lego Man Head is? Do let me know. Could be anybody. Anyway, remember to check me out on Patreon. If you own a bike shop, Hambini Trade. Remember Hambini Trade. Have a look on the website. This is the 9 Velo, Nerf Velo, 9 Velo website. You can buy your wheels there. It's got the current price there of $1,169. At that price, I would say it's a steal, really. I mean, you can watch the rest of this, but I'd say that was really quite good. It comes up with the specs. I mean, we'll go through all of these later on. I mean, it's got to the stage now where, I mean, there's not a lot to choose between the wheels. And then the differentiator becomes the price and some of the subtleties in it. Now, at that price, the other options you've got, like let's say you were a snob and went to get an Envy wheel. So I think the nearest one is an Envy SES 4.5. This is retailing at around $2,800. So that's where I've seen it priced. So it's more than double. Are you getting more than double the wheel? Not a chance. This is a much wider wheel, so its inner rim's 25 millimeters, and it's tubeless only. I've not got any hooks. This is all a blurbage about it, and then in here, this is the specs. So you can click on there and then get the specs of it. I mean, they're expensive. That's the main thing. That's the SES 6.7. I mean, the thing with the Envy wheels is you can quite clearly see that they've gone for a knacker profile. So previously we were going for, you know, the in thing was toroidal. The Envy wheel is a much sharper end on the end. The other thing is the Envy wheels, this is a load of stuff around the mechanics of the wheel. Now, if you look at this, and this is a prime example of where money and marketing differentiate between the Western brands and the Far Eastern brands. So behind the product, alloy road hubs, all the science, wheel stiffness, all that kind of gear. If you look on the 9 Velo website, you don't have any of that. And that's something that they're probably missing, but I suspect they'll catch up quickly. Bearing efficiency versus longevity. So Envy's jumped on the non-ceramic route, preload, all this blurbage. This is actually a lie. It says no tools needed for assembly and disassembly. You need a press to press those bearings out. You can't just pull them out. I mean, I've done it. So that's that. And this has the same style of ratchet system. So this, I don't know what you want to call it really. It's like a, I was going to say sprag clutch, but it's not quite that. Anyways, the same sort of system. And then the same deal about, you know, the markings going into the cassette-free hub, all of that stuff. They've actually even quoted me on here. So if you go up, here's a third-party report on ceramic versus steel. As a side note, they use NTM bearings in all their hub sets. I mean, I'm not even sure that they do that, because at another place, they said they get stainless steel bearings. Now, in here, if you have a look, it says they will not be rusty corroded, which is factually correct. But if you put stainless steel bearings in, they are really, really soft. They will, you know, you can cut them with a Stanley knife or a utility knife, whereas a chrome steel hardened bearing is very difficult to do if it's legit. So anyway, that's, if you click on that link, it takes you there. So Envy quote me. Right, this is a specification of the wheels. I mean, we can rattle through here. 55mm tubeless, they are hooked as well. If you had the choice between hooked and not hooked, I would get hooked every time. The number of failures where the hookless rim and tyre just fail for whatever reason. User error is usually, you know, marketed. I've seen a lot of zip ones fail. Disc brake, all the weights. I mean, yeah, I mean, look at that. I suspect the DT style ratchet patent has run out, so that's why everyone's copying it. Exposed nipples. Now, the wheel build quality, now I've mainly run them in winter, so it's been at the nasty end of possible things that you can have. Radial run out was good, lateral run out was also very good. I mean, the thing is, they sent the wheels in, I mean, I guess half for a YouTube review, but when they send them to me or the likes of Peak Torque, they're looking for engineering feedback. And it's a cheap way of them getting engineering feedback, let's be honest, it is. And it also reflects well on them if we find faults and they go back and correct them. And that has happened. You've got some products coming up where you'll see the feedback loop, and I think that's beneficial for both people. All the spokes are in line, I'm even tension. I haven't bothered putting the pictures of the insides of the rim in. I mean, if they're going to be on YouTube, they've been checked, and yeah, you can clearly see they have been. This is the spoke tension, so I use a fag trummy to check the tension, so that's FAG. It was originally, they're usually used for belt tension, but I spoke to Scheffler, FAG, and they gave me the settings, and so I can use it for spokes. How accurate this is versus one of those displacement park tool things, which has the two prongs in and then you press it, I'm not quite sure, but it gives you the relative difference. I will have to get one of those parks. I'm not even sure if the park tool ones work with carbon spokes. I mean, on steel it'll be fine, but on carbon, I'm not sure if that will actually work because you're deflecting in the wrong direction. I actually might have these the wrong way round. I can't remember. Drive side and non-drive side. Basically, the tension is even. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say about that. Out of balance on these wheels is really, really good. Whoever is the rim manufacturer, I'm not sure if it's 9 Velo or not. Or if they're getting them in from somewhere, this is really, really good. When you look at the insides of it and the outside of it, it's just well made. So when it's come out of the mould, someone is clearly taking some time to do it, and it's not been a rush job. It's very, very low. So, you know, that bodes well. The bearing fits were all good. I mean, 15267 is the predominant bearing. Now, I used to kick off a fuss about this size because it's not an ISO size, but that could, actually will, be about to change shortly. So someone I'm closely connected with will be sorting me out in that regard. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say. I mean, the hubs are well engineered. The only thing that I had was there's a ball spin defect frequency after 4,000 kilometers. I mean, that could be, or I mean, I was going through curbs and all sorts of stuff. I mean, basically riding the bike to work. You know, it's not had an easy life whatsoever. Aerodynamic performance. Now, there's a Dimitriev plot as well, but this one's come out of the wind tunnel. The problem is I guess aerodynamic instability is not discussed widely enough for people to understand it. I mean, I get all sorts of comments going, oh, we can't find it, blah, 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 blah. I mean, the problem is it's at a higher level than undergrad level. And you gain it from working in industry. So, you know, there's not that many people that will be involved in it. And certainly the people who are sports scientists don't have a fucking clue. Aero performance is generally very good. I mean, it's almost identical to the Fast Sports Von 2. It's very, very similar. It's almost the same size as well, 56 versus 55. I mean, that's within the error bound of my vernier that I measured with. The thing you can see at this sort of speed, elevated speed, is there's two factors that really affect it. This ascent wheel is quite wide. And then they also had to ditch the wide carbon spokes because they put me on the floor, and then went to the round steel spokes, so that's had an adverse effect. And then the elite wheels, the wheel depth is quite shallow compared to these two, so you've lost 10% basically. This one, the ascent, is really deep, but it's very, very wide. Right, tidbits. I mean, the wheels were largely faultless, apart from the little incident with the grease freezing. Nothing really more to say than that. I mean, residual imbalance is low, so that's good. Freewheeling's quiet. Some might say it's unnervingly quiet because you just think that when you put your foot down, nothing's going to happen, but it does engage. Aero performance is good, decent hubs, and they are very competitively priced. And you can see where the price difference is, because I showed you the NV website. Now the bad, obviously the ratchet grease seized. There are some slightly lighter wheels out there, so you can probably get, I mean, you can reduce, I mean, obviously if you've got thinner spokes, you would reduce the weight of the wheel. If you reduce the thickness of the carbon, you'd reduce the weight of the wheel. So it's always an offset. Now I personally, that's me personally, because I'm going from stop, start, I like a light wheel because I like to be able to accelerate the bike away. So that's my personal preference. But 3 or 4 years ago, when I was not time trialing particularly well, but going for long races, long rides, I preferred a deeper wheel that was possibly a bit even heavier. And this is where I think it goes on the chart. So this is cost along the bottom and performance, and this is the sort of line of truth. So if you're on this side, you're crap. And if you're on this side, you're the shiz. So KPS, Ascent, and just riding along, you're on the wrong side of the line, boys, girls, and whatever pronoun you want. The Bontrager Aeolus and the Swiss Side 800, I think they're probably cost-performance ratio is about right. The Windspace Hyper 50s year 20, that was a very good wheel. I think that punched well above its weight, and it was a real sort of game changer. I think that word is used way too frequently. The Von 2S from Fast Sports, I think that is an excellent wheel as well. It's a bit more expensive. The Elite Drive 40, I mean I like that wheel because it's light. So yeah, that's I guess one of my personal favourites. The Hyper 65 is not quite as good as the Hyper 50. You haven't quite got the aerodynamic gain on there. The XR was Magine XR, again a good wheel. Pro X wheel, I mean this is where you're going towards low cost and you're sacrificing a little bit of performance, but you're getting a massive drop in cost. Icam wheel again, and the 9 Velo is somewhere in there, so it's certainly a good wheel. I'd have no real questions about getting them, not really at all. I think you make a sound purchase. Questions, comments, there is the web page with more data in the description. I'll put it down below. There's probably a discount code in the description. And please comment below, like and subscribe. Remember to follow me on Shitgram, Patreon, and other bits and pieces. Right, that is the end of this video. If you did enjoy it, remember to smash that like button. If you didn't, go screw yourself. And as always, keep banging your hairdresser.